on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Would you rather have a B that you earned or an A that you stole?
I'd rather have the A.
The pressure to succeed.
I'm going to show you some of the latest cheating techniques that kids are using.
It's causing some students
Kids have resorted to drugs like Adderall. I use it as a study tool.
to do whatever it takes.
What do you tell your kids about cheating?
I tell them that life is a gray area.
I can't believe my ears. This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
It matters to you. That's what I want to talk about. Are you ready in the booth? Let's do it. Go, Dr. Phil. We're going to start the show today a little differently because we had an audience experiment. Okay? And this was, you guys all went through something. You didn't know it was an experiment, but it was. Before the show, we had our audience answer a questionnaire to test their knowledge of the Dr. Phil show for a chance to win a very special prize. But what they didn't know is that we were watching their every move. We wanted to see what people were willing to do to win when they think no one is looking. Take a look.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Dr. Phil Show. My name is Jessica and I worked on one of the shows you're going to see today, and you're really lucky you came today because we are doing a quiz for Dr. Phil's biggest fan. So what we're going to do is have you guys go into these booths over here, and you're going to get a card like this with a quick quiz about Dr. Phil and the show. There's 5 questions on here, and the first person to get all of the questions right that we draw out of the box is going to win a really special prize.
We posted a sign for the contest, and it clearly read, only 1 entry per person and no third-party help. Now, most people came in and gave it their best shot. And what is going on here? She appears to be taking an extra test with her, folding it up tightly and putting it in her purse. And what do we have here? A cheat sheet. I wonder if they were working together. And this young man. Oh, technology. All the answers right at your fingertips. And that's what we caught on tape. Okay. Now, does anybody want to fess up? Stand up. You what?
I didn't see the slot where you put the card on the top of the box, so I thought you were supposed to open it. And I thought, yeah.
Okay, stand. Are you know him? Yeah. Here, stand up. Do you know this young man?
Yes.
And you've known him for 100% of his life?
Yeah, 17
100% of his life. Uh-huh.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, well, all right, have a seat. Now, anybody else want to fess up? I got more tape. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about cheating. Now, obviously, this is a small thing. This is like a white lie. But it can get very serious. But we did use you guys as guinea pigs. So just as a thank you, I want to give everybody in the audience a $50 gift certificate to California Pizza Kitchen. Okay? You get to park the car, and you get $100 because you're going to need it. Are you a cheater? Is it cheating to lie to your boss and take a sick day for a day off? Yes. How many of you have called in sick when you weren't? Raise your hand. telling your child to lie about their age for a discount. Now, he's pointing at you now. So, did you corrupt this young man at the movies?
Don't believe him, Dr. Phil.
Is it cheating to keep the change if a clerk gives you the wrong amount of change? How about borrowing a handicap sign for a better parking spot? But let's talk about cheating in school. Cheating to win a contest. I want you to meet my first guest who did exactly that and got caught in a very high-profile way.
The teaching career of 43-year-old Jerry Plecki is in serious doubt tonight. Plecki, who resigned as coach of the controversial Steinmetz academic decathlon team last week, is now suspended from his teaching job as well because he admitted that he directed his team members to cheat during a competition last year.
Cheating is a serious infraction in any educational institution, and it is something that I will not tolerate in this system.
It seems as if people are questioning our morals.
The charges of cheating stem from a member of last year's Steinmetz team. Former team captain Angela Lamb admits she was given the answers to questions on a super quiz by her former coach, Jerry Plecki.
Now I hope a larger message is spread that integrity and morality are more important than winning a contest.
Okay, now, is there any question that you cheated?
No.
So you cheated, you knew you were cheating when you cheated?
Yes.
Okay, you got a copy of the test, right?
We got a copy of the test questions, yes.
And a group of you looked them up, memorized the answers, went in and aced it.
Yes.
Did you win?
Yes.
Really? Okay, and this was a competition with other schools?
Yes.
Okay, and y'all won for the first time ever, right?
Right.
How'd you get caught?
One of our team members had a guilty conscience and confessed.
Just outed the whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And when you found out that you had been ratted out, did you panic?
No. No, we were upset, to say the least, with him. But no, we didn't panic because it was his word against ours.
Oh, so you then lied on top of cheating.
Mm-hmm.
So he said it, and you guys stuck together?
There were 9 of us who stuck together.
And called him a liar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he did the right thing and told the truth. So in addition to cheating...
But then he went back and changed his story again. When he confessed, and he wrote an essay, he confessed. We said, no, he's crazy. Then he said, oh, no, it was just fiction. So he changed his story again. So the 9 of us stuck together and just never admitted it. Well, eventually it got blown out of proportion because really it wasn't quite as big of a deal as it turned into. And they brought in lawyers, and after threatening deportation to one of our team members, someone else confessed to cheating.
So the one who told the truth and was called a liar now had someone to corroborate it.
Right.
So now you were caught.
Right.
All right. When we come back, I'm going to ask her how she feels about that now and what she says to her kids about cheating. I think you may be shocked at the answer. Okay, you got caught. Lawyers got involved. The victory was taken away. People were impacted. Are you sorry about this?
No, not really.
So you have no remorse about this whatsoever?
No, not really, other than getting caught.
Wow. So tell me how you justify this in your mind. Because if I'm a student at one of these other schools, and I'm over there studying and not going out on weekends and staying up late at night and drilling and taking notes and figuring everything out, and then you waltz in there with a copy of the answers, I really feel cheated. It's not that you cheated the test. If I'm that kid, you cheated me.
Well, first, we didn't have a copy of the answers. We had a copy of the questions. No, that makes a world of difference because you actually have to know the answers then. We did not ace the test. We got stuff wrong. You're never going to be perfect. Unless you get a copy of the answers, you're not going to be perfect.
Well, you got it so right that it was statistically impossible to have scored that well.
But if you compare my test scores, not my team's, but my test scores that I got on the state championship to the test scores that I had been pulling all along, my scores were on par. So it's not...
I can't believe my ears. You're seriously trying to justify this is okay because you had to go look up the answers? That's like you go buy a lottery ticket and they say, well, you got to come around here and see what the right answers are before you fill it out.
Well, you asked me.
I had to walk back there.
You asked me why I didn't feel guilty, and I'm trying to tell you why.
Because you had to look up the answers.
Well, we had to work together to figure out the answers.
You had the questions.
We did.
Was it an unfair advantage?
No, because we believe that another school who won for 15 years undefeated also had the questions for 15 years.
What do you tell your kids about cheating?
I tell them that life is a gray area. I tell them that every decision you make, you have to weigh the consequences either way.
Really?
Really.
So if they cheat, you're okay with that as long as they understand they could get caught?
Well, my problem with what we're talking about is cheating in school. And my problem with cheating in school is that when you go out into the real world, they're not going to put you in a room and say, here, do this task. Don't talk to anyone. Don't look anything up. Do it in an isolated situation. Every day we go to work and we have a boss to ask questions to. We have colleagues.
What if you're the boss?
The boss always has a boss.
What if you're the head engineer and I'm driving across the bridge you just built?
And that head engineer worked with lots of other people to get that done, didn't he?
We'll be right back. Jerry Marconi, the Cook County prosecutor that was involved in this case at the time, is joining us by Polycom. Jerry, thanks so much for joining us. You prosecuted this. You were the one involved at the time this happened, correct?
That's correct.
Now, you've been listening to Jolie's comments here saying, hey, it wasn't really that big a deal. And I'm paraphrasing what you said, but you said it wasn't really that big a deal. I don't feel like we had an unfair advantage, et cetera, right? What do you say about that, Jerry?
Well, I would ask her, what about the thousands of other people who were embarrassed and their reputations were tarnished because a group of 10 people decided to cheat on a competition? This didn't affect her. It affected a lot of people. It affected an entire city because there were a lot of people that stuck up for this team initially and then later were proven wrong because it turned out that they were all cheaters.
Mm-hmm. What do you say to that? That the people at your school were embarrassed because now their school's been painted with a black brush, and the community that stood up for you then had egg on their face?
Unfortunately, that happened. And I'm sorry for anyone who feels like we betrayed them. But, Mr. Marconi, I remember being in that office with you. I suggest you watch very carefully what you say.
You lied to me. You told me you didn't cheat, and I believed you.
Do you have a bleep button so I can quote what he called me in that office?
Yeah, I have a bleep button. What did he call you?
Mr. Marconi, do you remember telling me that I was a bitch and that I was the ringleader and I better confess?
Absolutely not. I looked you in the eye and you told me you didn't cheat, and I believed you the first time.
You are so full of it.
Your principal was sitting right next to me when I was speaking to you.
You're right, because my mother should have been there, but you guys assured me that it wasn't necessary to have her there.
So, did he cheat?
I was a minor at the time.
Did he cheat you?
Did he cheat me?
Yeah. Did he mislead you? Did he give you false information?
No.
I mean, because you're describing yourself as a victim. Like he misrepresented things to you, which would be cheating.
Mr. Marconi and I, he likes to play the good guy, and he's not always forthcoming.
You embarrassed an entire school. You tarnished the reputation of a school. You now have to go through life being the star of a movie called Cheaters. And when your kids ask you, well, Mom, why is this movie called Cheaters? You have to tell them, because I was a cheater. I'm the star of this movie. Now, why would you be proud of something like that?
Are you concerned about your kids?
Not at all.
So you're not concerned about them knowing that you cheated?
Not at all.
You concerned about them knowing you got caught cheating?
That's the embarrassing part.
If you went to school and one of your kids had got caught cheating in the 5th grade, what would you say to them?
I would ask them why.
Why what?
Why did they cheat?
And?
Why did you cheat?
Because we wanted to win.
But here's the thing. Is it really a win if you didn't actually achieve, you didn't master it? I mean, like I play tennis almost every day. And if somebody wins by calling a ball out that was really in, I mean, did they really win? I mean, did they really step up to the challenge, put their skills up against an opponent, and come out on top because they played a better game, a smarter game, a higher skill level game? Did they really win, or did they just, I mean, if you're going to do that, just go down to the sporting goods store and buy a trophy. Engrave your name on it and put it up on the shelf and say, yeah, look at that. U.S. Open.
But if you go in and you play doubles with someone and the other person believes going in that they're going to lose. They believe going in they're going to lose. They suck. I'm no good at this. I don't even know. Oh, all right, I'll go play. And you know that they're capable of winning. And you know you're capable of winning. Do you sit there and go, yeah, you suck, or do you give them every advantage you can to get them to believe that they can win?
Not if it is, okay, here's the deal. Every time they hit a ball, we're going to call it out. That's the equivalent of what you're doing. Your question doesn't even make sense. You're saying you were just pumping these other 9 up by saying, hey, come on, we can do this. We have the questions and we looked up the answers. I mean, did you take pride in the win?
To a point. It wasn't as victorious for me as the previous ones.
Because you cheated on this one?
Because I knew that we could have done it without the test.
Huh. Jerry, what do you want to say?
Well, I think it's nothing but a fraud. And I think as soon as you start engaging in frauds, where do you draw the line? I mean, if you learn to do this in high school and it's no big deal, well, what happens when you get that first job? And like you said earlier, you lie on your resume. Guess what? You're going to get fired. You may lose a career. You can cheat on your taxes. You could cheat on your mortgage application. But then in the consequences for that is possible prison.
Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today throughout the show, Jerry. You're going to be pleased to know, because the statistics are that kids are cheating more and more every year. And parents, you need to know what's going on here. Whatever it takes for an A, even if it means taking drugs that put your brain on super high speed, it could be happening to your kids. We're going to talk about all of that when we come back.
Cheated. Copying homework is really popular, I know. So many friends and even people I don't know have been coming up to me and asking if they can purchase my Adderall from me.
Maybe I'm not ready at 17 to make the choice of what I want to do with the rest of my life.
She would like to possibly do a gap year or maybe do a community service program instead and then go to college. And I think I'm having issues with it. How do you still support that?
That's a good question.
How do you move through this? Deep down inside, I don't want her to go. And she's picking up on that. I'm afraid.
You make it less about you, more about her, and you get in her balcony and you be her loudest fan. Okay. So what'd you decide? Did you go to college?
I am going to be a freshman at Boulder in a matter of a couple days. So.
In a matter of a couple of days?
Couple days, yeah.
All right. Are you concerned about it? Is there pressure?
I mean, there's obviously pressure. It's a new school, a new area, new people, and I think in order to just get used to that and then do really well, there's a lot of pressure there.
Yeah. And you know, there is an awful lot of kids abusing medications.
Right.
Some that they have by prescription, some that they get from their friends. And we wanted you to kind of ask some of your friends, some people about this. So we sent you out on a little bit of a mission to do some investigative reporting, right?
Yes.
Let's see what we found.
I'm going to talk to a couple of my friends about the pressures they face with school and the ways in which they cope with them.
I think it's just really easy to cheat these days because everyone has an iPhone or a BlackBerry, and there's so many search engines built onto the phone that if you don't know an answer to a question on a test, it's really easy to just type in the question and know the answer in 10 seconds.
I know a lot of girls, if they're wearing skirts, they'll write answers on their thigh and then during the test hike up their skirt and just look, because if you think about it, a teacher looks like a creep. You can't really look as a teacher, so it's kind of a secret way to get away with it. Super sneaky. It's a good one.
I've definitely cheated. Copying homework is really popular, I know.
I think that's the reason why a lot of kids have resorted to drugs like Adderall and Ritalin. I am actually prescribed Adderall. And so for me, I use it as a study tool. So many friends and even people I don't know have been coming up to me and asking me if they can purchase my Adderall from me. And I think that's really, really showing of the pressures that our society now puts on us as high schoolers.
Okay, were you surprised at what you found out?
No, I wasn't.
Why?
I think I went to a public high school, and I mean, not only is it so competitive, especially now with the economy, all of a sudden people can't afford schools, so everyone's competing not only for the same schools, but for UCs. So that means you're competing on the same quiz, the same test, the same final. I mean, the pressure is definitely on an all-time high.
Okay, now you're Tasha, right?
Yes.
And you say you'll do anything to get a good grade.
Not will do, but have done.
Have done anything to
yes.
get a grade. Let's talk about what that means.
Drugs. I am completely against drugs, but I have used them for purposes of studying.
What'd you take?
I've done Ritalin and Adderall. I've snorted lines, actually, which it's gotten to the point where I was taking so many pills and it was not allowing me to focus any longer. It was not keeping me awake. So I actually went to the extent of sniffing them, so it affected me faster. And actually,
okay, so you were doing this to stay awake?
Yes. Like I said, I did not use these drugs for recreational purposes. It was all for studying, and it literally came to the point where I would be up all night studying for finals, and unless I took Adderall, I could not stay awake. I would pass out in the middle of the final. So it really came to the point where I had no other option but to use drugs.
Were you ever worried about that?
I'm extremely worried. Like, a lot of people say that taking these drugs is cheating, but think about it. Like she said, we are competing for these top UCs, and the money is just ridiculous right now. The economy is so down, no one has money. We are competing against the smartest people in the world, and when we've been studying all day and we still feel unprepared for that final in the morning, what are you going to do? You're going to cheat. You're going to take that drug.
Where does this pressure come from?
Parents, professors,
I think ourselves,
other
too.
students, yeah, ourselves. I mean, I know me personally, my brother-in-law and sister who raised me a good portion of my childhood are both UC Berkeley graduates. My sister was a valedictorian. I have a huge amount of pressure on me to do well because of them, but also, like she said, because of us. We have goals ourselves that we want to reach, and when we can't reach those goals, it's depressing.
What have you done besides take drugs?
I've studied my butt off, cheat sheets. I'll write down notes on a piece of paper, and I'll just slide it under my essay, and then kind of just flip under and look at the answers as I'm doing my test. I've done cell phones plenty of times, texting people, hey, what's the answer to this? Or going online on my phone and Googling the answer. I mean, there's so many ways to cheat.
But that's cheating.
It's cheating, but like I said, when I was up all night, imagine, okay, I took a final. I get home from school, I'm studying all day, I'm studying all night, I don't get a single hour of sleep. Not a single hour. I get up in the morning, I'm done studying, I've got to head to school, I'm like, I haven't showered, I haven't slept, and I'm still not prepared for this test. And I'm literally running off no sleep, and I'm high off Adderall. But I'm still not prepared. And I'm not going to go into that test unprepared, so I'm going to write down on a cheat sheet. I'm going to be prepared for that test.
Do you cheat?
What do you define as cheating? I copy homework, but I think everyone does that. I mean, there's a lot of busy work in high school.
I think the biggest thing, at least that even in talking to people that I saw, is homework. Because now teachers, parents, everyone pushes now the sleep thing. You need 8 hours of sleep every night. Okay. Now, most people do after-school activities. You get home around 6. At my high school, you take about 7 classes. Each class requires about an hour and a half of homework every night. How am I supposed to do all of my homework? And a lot of times, personally that I've found, it's not homework that's helpful, it's busy work. How am I supposed to do all that, get my full sleep, and be ready to go to school the next day? It's hard.
When we come back, I'm going to show you some of the latest cheating techniques that kids are using. And I got to say, if they would put as much energy into the material maybe as they do these really innovative cheating techniques. I mean, these are smart kids. We'll be right back. All right, today we're talking about cheating, and the truth is that it is becoming more and more rampant. Now, some students will tell you that this is because there's no choice. There's just no choice. There's so much work, they just have to do it. And I wanted to look at some of the techniques that kids are coming up with. They remove the label and then scan answers to a test on the computer, put this through the printer, and they get the information with answers. So they sit in class, take a little drink, pull the label back, and go, blah, 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 blah. Have you all ever done this? You've done this?
That's funny. I've seen something like that done, but never actually done anything like that. That's really creative. I can't believe I've never thought of that. I need to use that one.
This is not a seminar. Okay, a pen. I mean, you got to have a pen, right? But the fact is, they take the pen, put paper inside the pen with answers on it, and when nobody's looking, just unroll it, and there it goes. Eraser, just simple eraser, right? But they open the eraser, paste the answers inside on the underside of the eraser, and then put it right back. Band-Aid, because you've been injured. But on the white portion of the Band-Aid, you can write everything that you want to know. Calculator programs that you use when you're doing math work, right? But these have memory functions, so you can put it in there, and if anybody walks up, you just hit the clear button and it's gone, and they don't know the code to pull it up. Glue stick, they just cut a square out of the label and put the answers in its place, then reassemble the label, turn the glue stick so they can view the answers in the back. Unbelievable. Now, Chris is here. Chris, you're a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a policeman as well?
I think something to add into the debate is our school year. Since No Child Left Behind, the school year, more is expected of the kids, but our school year is no longer. We're expecting more, but we're given no more time. As much as I love my summer vacation, it's probably a detriment to the kids. And they're competing. They're talking about competing against kids sitting in the next seat, but you're also competing against kids in other countries that go 20 and 30 more days of school a year. That's something else we need to think about as well.
Yeah, and isn't it true? I've always wondered, because when I was going to school, we had like a full 3 months off. And I guarantee you, by the time I went back to school in September, my brain was mush. I wasn't reading at the level I was reading at before. Because I just use it or lose it, right?
And I saw that when I taught younger kids at elementary school, where you're doing the reading levels very specifically, you really see it. So whatever they left in June, they came back in September about 6 months behind. So not only did you lose the summer, but you lost September just catching up to where they were in June. I mean, we're losing a lot of school time this way.
But are teachers putting these kids in a no-win situation by assigning work they cannot possibly physically, logistically get done?
Absolutely. In fact, I give less and less homework knowing what other people are giving. Because and really, giving more homework doesn't make you a great teacher. It just means you've taken the responsibility and you've pushed it on at home. I thought, well, I can do it in the room. I'm pretty good at this now.
Yeah. Well, Rich Jark is here, and he's the executive director of the Josephson Institute on Ethics. Are we seeing more cheating now, or is it just more apparent?
We're seeing a lot more now. We do a study every 2 years, and every year it goes up a little bit. 64% of the respondents in the survey said they cheated on a test in the last school year.
64%?
Yes.
Okay, and Jolie, that's what you're saying. You're saying you better cheat or you're not going to compete. And you're saying 64% are cheating. Why is this happening?
Well, some people feel, as the young lady said, it's the pressure that they feel from their parents and from their peers. But a lot of it is the indifference of the school. And the schools, that you could ask them, if they get caught, they're not going to get punished. So, in essence, what you allow, you encourage.
I read a report recently, and you may know this or not, that said 80% of the students in Who's Who among American students, maybe college students, said at some time along the way they had significantly cheated. Does that shock you?
It doesn't shock me because we also do an adult survey, and what we found is that the adults who admit to cheating also admit that they cheated when they were in high school. So there's a high correlation. Cheating in high school, cheating as an adult.
Yeah. Okay. Bria, you say you've never cheated, and this frustrates you.
It does. It frustrates me a lot, especially because when I was in high school or even middle school, I had some learning disabilities, and so that was really frustrating, like growing up and then also being in college and having worked on a paper for 2-3 weeks, meeting with the professor, going through due diligence to try to make sure that my paper is an A paper, and then having somebody be able to take Adderall just a night before and get it all done and get, maybe an A- on the paper.
But Rich, she's in the minority here.
That's correct.
We're talking 36% don't cheat.
Right.
So what do we do with this?
What we have to do is, one, we have to start invoking consequences when people do cheat, and we actually have to try to get our students developing a stronger value system and understanding the importance of not cheating.
But that has to happen beginning at home.
Yeah. Home and very young in school.
I'm big on education. It served me well, obviously. But we've always told our boys, and I encourage them to study and all, we always told our boys, I would much rather you make B's in school and have a life and have friends and play sports and travel around and make an A in life instead of necessarily an A in school. Make B's. That would be fine. And I have to say, our youngest is just graduating from USC right now. Our oldest graduated from the University of Texas and in SMU Law School. And both of them are very successful in their lives. And we never said, if you don't make an A, you're in trouble. And there were kids. I mean, you pull up in carpool. My kid's an honor student at the Acme School. Yeah. And I wanted to put one on and said, well, my kid has personality.
I understand what you're saying. Okay, so I shouldn't work myself as hard. But, that needs to be said to the professors. That needs to be said to the parents. They need to stop putting the pressure on their students like this. It's way too much, Dr. Phil. I literally want to rip out my hair sometimes.
No, I agree, but I'm telling you, but you're old enough now that you have to moderate and modulate the amount of pressure you put on yourself. Let me ask you something.
Okay.
Who was the valedictorian in your mother's class?
My mom, and then my sister also was.
And your sister was valedictorian.
See, that's the thing. There's a line of success in my family that I feel I need to live up to. There's so much. My brother-in-law is a lawyer. My sister is going to grad school right now at UC Berkeley. She's a social worker. There's so much success in my family that I feel I need to live up to. And if I don't, I feel like
But it depends on how you define success. And if success is the grade that's assigned to you by somebody who's measuring your rote memory and regurgitation of material defines your self-worth, then you've given your power away in an unreasonable way. All right, look, this starts really early in life. There are 3-year-olds that have to test and interview for prep schools. This is just to get into kindergarten or preschool. Now, we have a granddaughter right now that's 5 months old. And so I've really been paying attention to this. We'll be right back. How early does it start where we're putting pressure on kids to perform? Now, Liz is joining us via Polycom from New York. Now, she owns the mommy website called Divalicious.com. And you have a very young child, correct?
I do.
How old? 3?
He's 3.
Okay, now you purchased a program that's called Aristotle Circle. Is that right?
That is correct.
Now, tell us what that is and tell us why you did it.
It is a program that helps your children prepare for the ERB tests, which in New York City, if you live here, your child needs to take that in order to get into preschool and or kindergarten in New York City, as well as some of the free public schools, the Talent and Gifted programs.
Has your son taken the test yet?
Not yet.
Have you seen improvement in his dialogue, his answers, his performance in some way?
I am practicing with him little by little, and I am seeing a little bit of an improvement day by day with the fun and the playfulness that we're having with the test.
Okay, so you don't think he would make it without it, or you just wanted to have every advantage you could get? I mean, what was your motive to do it?
My motive for doing this, for buying this practice test, is that I absolutely think 100% that he will do just fine if I did not have this little prep. But I just wanted to help just prepare him and ease the anxiety, because I feel that it's scary for a 4-year-old to have to go in for the first time and take a test by themselves, that they've never had to take a test before.
Now, Suzanne is here. She's CEO and founder of Aristotle Circle. Suzanne, you have a lot of critics of this program. You have a lot of adherents. You have a lot of people that really like this because they've used it, but there are critics of it. What do you have to say about the program?
Well, first of all, I'm a mother of 2 young children, and I think it's only natural for a parent to want the best education that you can have, for your children.
How much does the program cost?
That depends on what they have. So a workbook can be $500 to prepare for a test. The test itself costs over $500. And tutoring in a lot of the big cities can be anywhere from $100 an hour up to even sometimes $800 an hour. In the
$800 an hour to tutor a 3 or 4-year-old kid to take a test?
$800 an hour would be more for some of the SAT tutoring. We work with a lot of older children. But again, the test itself costs over $500. But actually, we have partnerships. I have a Dream Foundation and lots of other nonprofit people that help children. It does work, yes. Absolutely. Little prep goes a long way, just like in SATs. If your child is going to take the SAT, now over 75% of children who take the SAT have preparation for it.
But is that unfair to parents that don't have $500 and $100 or $150 an hour for a tutor, so their kid's just showing up down there with a dirty face saying, I'm just a 4-year-old kid? I ask because I went to public schools the whole way. I mean, I got in a cattle car and rode up there and went into the public schools, and it was probably geared to the least, and we had to kind of seek our own level and figure it out and make it through. And, I dress myself every morning. I operate a motor vehicle. I get to work. I did okay.
Right. Well, I mean, my father grew up in the housing projects in Boston, and his life was transformed by education when he went to MIT on a full scholarship. And I just saw how much his life was transformed, and I want to make sure I provide the best opportunity for my children as well, give them the best education possible. And many times it is a public gifted and talented program. And it's unfortunate that children so young are getting tested, because these IQ tests are not really valid. As a young child, you can score really highly and still... There's no, how a child performs well at 4 years old is no indicator of who's going to Harvard. It's not even an indicator of who's going to perform well in first grade.
So everybody doesn't misunderstand, Liz. You spend 10 or 15 minutes a day. You're not hotboxing this kid. You're not spending a bunch of time with him. You're doing this in a play-like fashion, and you're doing it 10 or 15 minutes a day.
Correct.
I mean, that's the right way to do it if you're going to do it. We'll be right back. Okay, we've been talking to our viewers on Twitter while this show was going on, and some of them sent some tweets even before the show, because we said, have you ever cheated in school, sports, or at work? And if so, why did you do it? One of them said, I cheated at work by spilling a roach into a hamburger to get a coworker fired. She deserved it. Another one said, I cheated in school because I wanted to be as smart as my older brother. But do you get that cheating doesn't make you smarter? It just means you got a grade that you didn't earn. accountability. And if you're on drphil.com right now, you'll see how your own cheating compares to other viewers. It's really very interesting, and you can do this anonymously. So I'll be tweeting about the results right after the show. You wanted to say something, because you've been you've just been shaking your head.
It's a frustrating situation because I'm in college now, and I know what it's like to be pressured. I know what it's like to want to get the good grades and to make our parents proud and just to be proud of ourselves in general. But at the end of the day, you're left with your integrity. And so, I mean, you can be a smart cheater, you can be a successful cheater, but you're still a cheater.
Let me ask you something, Kayla. Would you rather have a B that you earned or an A that you stole?
I would rather have the B.
And how about you?
I'd rather have the A.
You'd rather have the A that you stole instead of the B that you earned? Wow. Let me ask the audience, would you rather have a B that you earned? Raise your hand. Or an A that you stole? All right, you guys. I knew you were trouble from the beginning. All right, thanks for being here today. So long. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.